Hello and welcome to Man, Woman, God. I'm Nikki and I'm joined tonight by my husband, Greg. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thank you,
again.
Nikki.
I'm going to have to keep welcoming you every time we...
it's becoming a habit.
Every time you come on. But Greg, I heard this scripture being preached from a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to talk to you about it because it's a really, really good scripture and it's something that we don't often do, I would say. It's from Hebrews chapter 3 and it was verse 13, but I want to start at verse 12 actually. So it's, "See to it, brothers, that none of you has a sinful, unbelieving heart that turns away from the living God. But encourage one another daily, as long as it is called today, so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness." And what I want to talk about is encouragement, because I have to say, we just don't do it enough of one another, do we?
I encourage you to talk about it. No, we don't. We don't. You're right.
And I guess from the part, from the other shows that we've had, we've talked about, being encouraged as children and how it helps us to grow into better people. And, and I just sort of feel like we have to start, of course, with our children. But even when we do become Christians, it is about, spurring each other on, egging each other on and saying, yes, you're doing a really good job. Keep going. I'm here. I'm going to help you. Supporting one another.
That's it, support. I immediately think of an example, an incident that happened probably a couple of weeks ago. I was in the bank. I don't think I've mentioned this to you. I was in the bank and, I was second in line. And the person in front of me went to the teller, and it was the teller that was sort of closest to us. And she put her money across the counter, and she actually said to the teller, "This is my last payment on my house. It's my last loan mortgage payment." And the teller just didn't really say or do anything. And it was such a deflating moment. And I thought, come on, she's just told you this is her last payment. She owns her house now. This is a big thing in her life.
And she obviously wants it to be recognised.
Recognised,
yeah. She wouldn't say it.
Maybe she expected balloons to come down and streamers to go off and all that sort of stuff.
And champagne cocks to be.
All that sort of thing. But the teller did not respond in any way. She just looked up and said, "Oh, okay." It was just nonchalant about the whole thing. So I couldn't help myself. When she finished, she turned to move off, and I stopped her in her tracks and I said, "Look, you've just done a great thing. Congratulations,
Good on you.
Well done." And, I felt good doing it.
How did she feel?
She was rapt.
Oh,
she was
that's
rapt
great.
because she was recognised. Someone recognised her and gave her some recognition. I mean, I guess it's more recognition than encouragement, but it all crosses over.
But still, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's right.
But I felt good about it.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
I actually, after I'd done that, I thought,
Exactly.
gee, I feel really good. And it doesn't have to be big. It can be small. It can be in the traffic. It can be walking on the footpath or just brushing past someone or something, and they might look happy or good or something and actually recognise that in fact and say, "You know what, you've made me feel good." It's all encouragement.
But I guess we're all just, we're all concerned about our own lives and we're all just on this one track for ourselves.
But you know what the other thing is? I know I'm doing all the talking here, but...
That's right.
The other thing is, I think a lot of us, for a lot of the time, think that we can't get involved. We shouldn't get involved. It's not our business, or it's their business, they'll work it out. Even with family. How many times do you hear, let them be, let them work it out, it's their problem, don't get involved?
Yes, many
times. You know what? We should get involved. We should get in there in the thick of it, show support and show encouragement.
True, and I think with encouragement, that makes someone want to do something about, because it's like, I know that actually you're a very good encourager, Greg, I have to say this. And I have to say, our children are great encouragers as well. They probably learnt that from you. But we both say to them, we do encourage our kids and say, great job and, really well done, very proud of you. Just,
absolutely.
And I think that they've picked that up and they now say it to other people, often our daughter says to me, "Mum, you look lovely," or, "Can I have those shoes when I grow up?" but at least she's sort of recognising things. It's about, as you said, about recognition. It's about observing,
Yes.
about seeing, and then about speaking it out. Because I think that's the most important. If you walk around with blindfolds, you're never going to observe anything, and you're never going to be able to encourage one another.
And it's stepping out. And quite often, I just can't think of an example offhand, but I'll just use that bank incident as an example. Quite often, once you step out, others step out. You've opened the door.
Exactly.
Like, it didn't happen, but it could have happened that there were more people behind me,
and saw what
they
you
would
did.
have. Yeah, I saw what I did, and then they would have done it as well. But they just need that.
Well,
that what do you call it? That push or inspiration to do it. Yeah.
But I think as Christians, Greg, we need to sort of lead by example as well.
Exactly.
Do you think? We need to be in the front. We need to be the forerunners. We need to be up there.
What was it?
Breaking ground.
We need to be weirdly attractive.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Well, we do. Well, that's true. And that's not attractive to the world, encouraging one another. And of course, as you know, Australians are known as, pulling people down, which I actually want to rebuke that, because I don't think we should accept that. I think that's a label. That's a label we shouldn't accept, because I just think, let's do something different. Let's be, different people. Let's just, put our stake in the ground and say, well, no, we're going to be encouragers, because that's what the Bible, why would it be in the Bible?
Can you just read it out once more? Just a bit about encouragement.
Yeah, okay. So it's verse 13 from Hebrews 3. But encourage one another daily, as long as it is called today, so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness. And I think the whole fact about doing it daily is very good, because you can get discouraged very quickly.
And by sin's deceitfulness.
Yes.
So it's almost like a protection against becoming involved in sin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love it. I just think we need to be on the mark a lot, and we need to. We have our household, and we do it daily in our household, but we also need to take it out and, do it out wherever we go. Be
different. Be weirdly attractive. Step out. Lead the way.
Yeah,
show the way, even if it's in a small way. Opening the doors for people, helping out wherever you can see that someone's in need, in the smallest way.
Yep. Yeah. Well, we have to take a break, Greg.
Gee, that goes
We'll be back later. Okay. We'll be back with more after the break. Welcome back to Man, Woman, God. I'm with Erin Goedhart, who is our new resident critic, and she will be reviewing films and books. Erin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, this is a great new segment in our show, Erin, and you've got a film for us.
I do, but before I get to that, I'd like to talk a little bit about how important films have become in our culture.
Sure.
They communicate stories, they communicate ideas, as well as entertain us. And to be fully immersed for a short time in a different reality and experience something new is such a great thing. And often, movies are now used as a visual history. Where in olden times stories were communicated and passed on verbally, now we have the amazing medium of film to help us do this too. Now, a truly great film will encourage, inspire, uplift and entertain us. And with that in mind, I have a movie that ticks every box, and it's called Soul Surfer.
Okay. Sounds good.
Now, Soul Surfer was actually a book before it was made into a film. It's a true story. It was a hit at the cinema and is now available on DVD. It stars well-known actors Helen Hunt and Dennis Quaid.
Oh, I like both of them.
Yeah, well, we've seen Dennis Quaid as a lovable dad in films like Yours, Mine and Ours and The Parent Trap. And we've loved watching Helen Hunt's progress from the hilarious sitcom Mad About You to the die-hard storm chaser she played in Twister. But I think we see them at their best in this film, where they play the parents of the film's main character, Bethany Hamilton. Now, Bethany is a typical teenager, but with a particular passion for surfing. She's been raised by two surfers, and she's surrounded by the surf culture of gorgeous Hawaii.
Oh, I'd love to go there.
Oh yes, this film will make you want to go there. Now, she has a real drive and determination to succeed in this sport, and so she's actually homeschooled to allow her more time to focus on her training.
Okay.
So when we meet Bethany, she has just been sponsored by international surf brand Rip Curl, and her future's looking bright. However, shortly into the film, Bethany endures a horrific shark attack while out surfing with friends. This leaves her with only one arm, and her dreams of becoming a pro surfer are now in tatters. This is where the story really begins. The family have to go on a journey of hope, recovery, and getting back in the water, and we are really privileged to accompany them on this journey. They need to deal with issues of family, faith, and community. They need to deal with issues of perseverance and resilience. The role of Bethany's family, her parents, her two brothers, her friends, and even her adversaries are showcased beautifully. Now, what parents need to know about this film is that it is rated PG, and that is because of the shark attack scene.
Okay.
Now, the shark attack scene is very quick. It's not terribly graphic, but it is the kind of thing that could easily upset young children. So parents need to make a judgment call on this for themselves, maybe even watch the film first.
So
Now,
what age group are we looking at, Erin?
Look, it's rated PG, so 12 and over is definitely okay. I'd say it is okay for many primary school aged children.
Okay.
But depending on what your child is like, you might just need to cover their eyes or get them to leave the room for the shark attack scene, or they might be okay with it. So mum and dad really need to decide based on their own children's sort of level of coping with fear or surprise and fright, that kind of thing. So there's no swearing and there's no nudity in the film,
Right.
so you don't need to worry about any of that. Now, there's a couple of fun facts I have for you about
fun
this
facts.
movie.
I love fun facts.
Fun facts are good. Now, the girl that plays Bethany is Anna Sophia Robb. She is a very talented actress, and she was hand-chosen by Bethany herself to play her.
Okay.
But nor she or Dennis Quaid could surf, so they both needed to learn that skill for the movie. Now, Anna Sophia Robb was trained by Bethany's actual surf coach, so she got some great pointers.
Fantastic.
However, Helen Hunt is an accomplished amateur surfer,
Oh,
so
there you
she
go.
was up and ready to go.
Okay.
Now, not so much a fun fact, but I think a real important fact about this movie is that Bethany's dad, Tom Hamilton, had to lobby quite strongly against some studio executives who wanted to play down the Christian element in the film to make it a bit more appealing to a wider audience. They wanted to do things like digitally remove the words Holy Bible in a scene where Bethany's dad is reading to her from this book, and they wanted to take out some scriptural references. Tom lobbied hard against this because the family's faith is an integral part of who they are and Bethany's story. He was successful. The Christian element is very much intact in this
Great.
film, and it's gone on to be such a great success and inspire so many people. So look, in conclusion, this is a great movie. It can be enjoyed by the whole family. If you have teenagers or pre-teens, it provides the perfect platform for some honest conversations between parents and kids. You'll find Bethany to be a great role model, and it will probably leave you wanting to visit Hawaii.
Now, Erin, not to give away too much for the end, but is it a happy ending?
It sure is. It really is a happy ending.
And what sort of message does it give to our viewers?
I think it has a really strong message about faith, family and community. For me, those are probably three of the strongest themes in the movie. Also about facing your fears and challenging yourself. Even though Bethany overcomes a lot and succeeds in many ways, I think her community, her church community, her family community really underpin her success.
So what I wanted to know also is the fact that, a young girl like that going through such a horrific, traumatic time,
Yeah.
wouldn't it be good for young people to watch that to see, this can happen and how do we overcome all of this?
Absolutely. Look, as I said, this was a book first, and I bought the book for my daughter when she was about 10 years old.
Okay.
So I read it first just to
Right.
make sure it wasn't too scary, and it wasn't at all. So when it came out on DVD, we just had to get it. But yeah, my daughter was about 10 years old, and I definitely wanted her to have Bethany as a role model.
Love your work, Erin. Well done. Good on you. Thanks so much for that. We'll see you next time for some more reviewing.
Definitely. Thank you.
Okay, well, we'll be back after the break. Greg.
Nikki.
Now, I love that review, actually. Isn't it great that
Fantastic.
we've got a new segment?
I love it. I love the new segment.
Well, have you seen Soul Surfer?
Look, I haven't seen the whole film. Zane, our boy,
Yes.
watched it.
Yes, he loves it.
And I was actually doing dishes at the time, and he was watching it on the computer. And then as we all know, there's a shark attack. And I just was listening sort of in the background, and I had to put everything down and go over and watch it with Zane. And I have to say not so much the shark attack.
Because you don't see anything.
No, you don't see anything. But post the shark attack, where there's the people she's surfing with, and their task of getting her back on shore and to the hospital. It was just gripping viewing, absolutely gripping, tear-jerking, gripping, heart pulsating, incredible viewing.
It was amazing.
The director, I had to find out who he is, and it's Sean McNamara.
Yep.
And I have to say, I would love to make a movie, and I would love for him to direct it because it was extremely well done. Yes, it's really surprised me.
Oh, look, even thinking about it now, I get really, it was very tense.
Very tense.
It was very tense in the way they did it.
But it was tense, it was emotional, it was scary, it was everything. It was just so well directed. I couldn't believe the pacing.
And, there is a part where she was talking to a friend, and she said, what's God doing? Why is he? And, and I just think, you just wonder, what is God doing when that sort of stuff happens? When a young girl who's at the height of her career. I think I'm about to cry, Greg.
Yeah, well, while you're doing that,
thinking about that is
let me say this, because I went back to doing what I was doing, and I'm pretty sure she was asked the question, right, later on in the movie, if you could have it all again, would you go through it again? And she said, yes, I would. And, for a young, attractive girl to have that happen to her in her teenage years, I'm sure she was a teenager.
Yes, she's a teenager, yeah.
And for her to go through the events of that tragedy and then come out of it the other end and to say, yes, I would go through it again, is just mind-blowing.
Well, I'm crying, Greg.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'm close to it myself.
I can't stop crying. It's crazy. But you know what? It is just beautiful
it is a beautiful film.
And we hear so many stories here on the show, and and I just get touched by the fact that when people go through such hard times,
the octopus man.
But we do ask them. No, he was actually the box jellyfish.
Oh, the box jellyfish man, right?
But that's another story which we should talk about at some stage. But when people are asked, excuse me for crying, I'm so sorry.
We don't have any tissues on board.
No, but the thing is, when people are asked, would you go through it? They all say yes.
Yeah, I know. And
I just think, I
know. It's incredible.
How does that sort of, how do you go through tragedy? And, we've all gone through hard times. And I guess we do look back and we can say, you know what? God brought me out of something. I thought I was going okay, but guess what? I wasn't actually going okay. And God's actually trying to get my attention. I think that a lot of it is about getting God's attention. And,
and people are going through things right now, There's viewers out there that I'm sure are going through trauma or heartache or depression, or there's problems.
Yes.
We all have. There's always someone having a problem somewhere, and to look at something like that and to hear those words, yes, I would go through it all again. It gives you a lot of hope,
Yeah, exactly. And I guess what we watch on TV is very, because our son is 8 and he did see it, and we found that was okay for him to see it, and he actually did think about it a lot afterwards, and he did ask some questions.
And he wanted to see, I think he saw it twice.
He quite enjoys that film. But I think 8 was fine. Our daughter didn't want to see it because I think she was a bit scared, but that's fine. We didn't push that on her. But it is good for kids to see things like that and just
triumph.
Yes,
over,
to see things. There are tragedies in our lives, but how do we get through it?
And that's why I want to say this before we run out of time, because we must be getting close. I love our new segment.
Yes.
Because we've become so blasé as a viewing audience about what is thrust in front of us, you know, wherever we go. I mean, wherever you go nowadays, there's a TV. If it's not on the train or if it's not on the actual train or the bus or whatever, everyone's got an iPad or a computer or something watching stuff, right? Which is everyone can see.
Yes.
McDonald's, you've got, stuff playing in McDonald's. There's a TV everywhere. You go out for dinner in a restaurant, there's a TV there. And we don't have any say about what goes on. And, we're just, the stuff that's pushed in front of us is just becoming worse and worse and worse.
True.
It's reaching for the lowest common denominator, and that denominator is getting lower and lower and lower. And I think it's time that we started to take a stand and look at what we see and filter what we're seeing and what our kids are seeing as well.
Well, it's all about waking the dead, I think, Greg.
Yeah,
John
exactly.
Eldridge, Waking the Dead.
And Erin's doing a great job.
Yeah, she is. But Greg, I have to say, you have on a number of occasions when we have been at fast food places, asked them to turn the television.
I'll ask them to turn it off, yeah. I mean, we've got...
because it is offensive.
It's
Some
offensive,
of the stuff,
yeah.
the music, especially the music video clips,
MTV.
I find very... very in your face and very, there's nothing left for the imagination, really.
We've been talking about encouragement.
Yes.
I encourage the viewers to take a stand, and if they're at McDonald's or somewhere where the screen's playing pornography, basically,
it is, yes.
I'm pretty open-minded, but when you're in McDonald's, in a family restaurant where you've got young kids eating gingerbread men, right, and you've got MTV up there, which is basically porn, it doesn't mix. And take a stance, get up and say, look, can you switch that off, please?
Yeah, and I think we need to probably watch things before we allow our kids to...
Correct.
I mean, even a lot of the movies that are animated are really not for our kids. They're probably more
for adults.
Based for us,
They're trying to reach both markets.
Yeah, that's right.
Both viewing audiences, and they're poles apart.
And I think it's true. I think we do need to wake up quite a bit, Greg, and realise, we shouldn't be standing for what the world throws at us.
Exactly. Yes, I like that. What the world literally throws at us. Yeah, I like that.
Well, Greg, that's all we have for tonight and for
we
the
need
show.
to make this an hour show.
We'll speak to the people at Channel 31 about that. Okay, well, thanks again, Greg.
Well, ask the viewers to write in and
yes,
let us
definitely. So if you have a story, if God has done something in your life, write to us. We really love to hear about it, and we will read it out on television. So that would be really great to hear from you all. And we are on Facebook. So jump on Facebook, Man, Woman, God, and you'll see lots of stuff about us, and we'll put some of our shows on there as well. So it's been great being here tonight, and we just pray that God blesses you, and the peace of God and the love of God is in your life. And so for me, Nikki, and my husband Greg, good night.